So, PMD 2.1 patch notes. Now that the ground rules for the game have been set, it's time we implement some changes based on concerns from the community as well as concerns that we've noticed. The patch notes will include the following: stats and IQ, items, traveling, minor changes, building utilities, minor changes, and Kona, minor changes. Stats and IQ. Because of what those standard D&D stats, strength, dex, charisma, wisdom, int, are based off of, some of them were OP, and some severely underpowered. IQ is also difficult to raise and did not scale well with level. As such, several new changes will be implemented to try to balance this out. So, new. Players will now be given mental stats separately, rather than have the stats be based off of Pokemon capabilities. These should be placed under the right side of the items in storage. See the building utility section. Players will get int, wiz, and charisma starting at the base value of 6, and will have 14 points to spend. This will be your stat points. Basically, it's the same as Pokemon trainers and how they do it, except you only have to worry about half the stats, and therefore you only get half of the starting points.
But I wanted to super buff everything.
No stat may be above 14 when using these 14 points. In addition, players get an additional stat, pardon the typo, an additional stat point for every 5 levels gained, as well as a stat point for every whole IQ point gained. Modifiers will be +1 for every 2 points above 10, but -1 for every point below 10. So previously the dex is based off of your overland speed, but now dex is based off of half of whatever speed you are using. The example being, if you are flying, your dex becomes half of your fly speed, and not your overland.
Whoa, that's ridiculous. Jesus, damn.
What?
Matt,
Wow.
Matt, are you using Screaming Bee?
You're chipmunking on us. Unless you're using like some, or are you
He's
using
using a voice
Sounded
Oh my
a
God,
lot
that's
like
amazing.
Twig.
All right, that voice mod though.
Wait, how much my chipmunk? Oh fuck, I can't even talk.
Although
Ow.
it's a little bit hard to
Right.
hear you, but anyway.
Brain hurt badly.
However, players may also invest their level-based stat points, but not their IQ-based stat points, into increasing their dex modifier. However, this will not affect any form of movement speed.
Except in the case of ninjas.
Maybe. Let's see.
Except specifically in the case of ninjas based off of one of their 2 starting abilities.
Anyway.
That you increase your overland by half of your dex modifier.
So, old con and strength is based off of a Pokemon's power. We altered that. We've completely removed the con, so go ahead and cross that out. And strength can be invested in via stat points by the same rules as dexterity. However, the power modifier itself will not be affected in any way, but it's also not halved as well. So Pokemon's power does actually count. Then also, the way it used to be, IQ determines a player int mod and wiz mod and may give Pokemon new capabilities, which has been changed. IQ can add a stat point to a mental stat and give a Pokemon new capabilities. So for every whole IQ point you get an additional point to put into your mental stats, but only your mental stats. So charisma, wisdom, intelligence. And then old players could jump to impress with charisma modifier affecting their results, but now players can jump to impress, but with no additional modifiers.
I can no longer do that.
No.
Shit.
This is why I added a
Damn it.
special thing for you. This is why I had to add you into the patch notes. Items.
I
Items
see.
are not used. Screw that word. Used as much as we originally anticipated, and loot drops have been imbalanced in one way or another. As such, the way loot
Give us
works
more
and some of the
swords.
items that are available will be changed as of this patch. For example, loot drops are based off of a single D20 roll by a party followed by one from the DM. That was old, but now loot drops have been converted to D100 rolls instead. So, so percentages and whatnot, an actual loot chart. Also, food rations may have been dropped during a D20 during the loot drop roll. However, that is no longer the case. Food and ration will no longer be dropped. They exist, they just won't be dropped anymore.
Okay.
So,
We don't.
because it seemed dumb, honestly.
Okay.
After thinking about it, it's like, oh, you got apples. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Yay!
Yeah.
So,
Yay.
so that has been completely removed.
Me and my,
So,
abundance of apples
because
now.
of the Because
Yeah,
of the survivalist thing you gave me, does that mean I have resistance or near immunity to the problems of eating other
No,
Pokemon?
the same things apply to what I told you, which was that food is basically twice as effective for you, essentially.
Yeah, but you also said that I have like a resistance to stuff.
A
Yeah,
resistant
resistant to bad food.
to bad food, specifically grimy food, which
Okay,
will be
not
anyway,
tainted.
not tainted. Old throwing
Untainted
items and health
food.
drinks are rarely given out, if at all. That used to be how it was, but now throwing items and health drinks have a better chance of being obtained as they have been actually added to the loot rolls. So yes, you can actually roll and get those items now instead of just kind of.
Yay.
Because literally what I was doing is you rolled something, I rolled something, and if it came down to like the roll didn't actually matter, I just threw things at you at my own will. I'm making it more concise now, so it's a lot more consistent.
So it isn't just we roll numbers and then you come up with something that sounds reasonable.
Yep, basically. Anyway, so eating Pokemon is a thing. Was the old way.
Oh,
The
God.
new way, eating
No.
Pokemon is still a
No.
thing.
No.
However, there is a chance that negative effects will happen based off of
Oh,
whether or not
dinner.
they have been tainted.
I can read the rest. I can read the rest of this later. Yeah. Okay.
Please don't eat Pokemon. Please.
But aren't you?
By the way, is this actually working?
Yeah, we definitely hear you as a female.
Yeah.
Like you sound like a
Bitches.
you sound like a grill. Hot grills here, I swear. You do. Anyway,
GG. Right.
also,
Yeah, I'll be back.
random encounters had a very low chance of dropping items, which has now been changed. So now random encounters have a moderate chance of dropping items. So you should be getting more items from random encounters now.
Woo!
Traveling, which was a minor change, because of the likelihood of traveling significant distances will be dramatically increased. Traveling will be condensed to when returning to old locations. Journeys to new locations, however, may still be played out as normal. So basically you can fast travel to places you've been. There will be encounters, but I have a way of condensing that down. And then going to new locations will hopefully be less tedious. I'll be probably changing how that works a little bit behind the screen. Building utilities. Similar to items not being used as intended, many of the utilities such as storage and the bank are underused. These will be adjusted to make room for changes made during this patch. So players used to have 2 large boxes to keep Kangaskhan storage notes, but now they only have 1. So kind of a fourth wall breaking patch note. The right box will instead be used to keep your mental stats instead, which is also noted somewhere in the changes. Anyway, that's the area in which I designated it. And then also Duskull Bank and Kangaskhan storage was accessible in every major town, and storage may be accessed via Kangaskhan statues. Nothing actually changed there. I just wanted to remind you guys that those were a thing.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, and then the final patch notes being to Kona. As a shiny Pokemon, Kona receives some benefits to Charisma checks. Due to significant changes to mental stats, the noted buff would be gone. The shiny buff will now apply to the base Charisma stat. So old Kona gets an additional 1d8 roll on Charisma checks, which is no longer the case. The 1d8 roll has been removed, and instead, Kona, you start with a base Charisma stat of 10 instead of 6.
Guess who's gonna have 18 charisma?
So, yeah, and then your maximum for the first 14 points on mental stats can be 18 instead of 14. And then the
Awesome.
And remember, the maximums only apply for the first 14 points applied. The rest that you get via IQ and level up, those can then break that. The only reason that's there is to make sure you don't put all 14 points into Charisma, for example, in which case Kona would have a 24
totally do it.
Charisma, and then I would cry tears. Real talk.
Correct.
Anyway, but so instead
I'm gonna
there are
BFK,
caps.
so
There are caps on the initial 14 points, and then you get points as you level up. So those are all of the patch notes. I would say go ahead and start applying them just start applying them right now. Might as well, because these might be actual things that get played out.